Hello there YouTube, welcome to another exciting episode of Gun Talk. Today we're going to be talking about the AR15 rifles. Now these rifles are some of the most common and well-liked rifles in all of America. These are widely used in video games, everybody has to have one, everybody loves shooting them, and they are really fun to shoot whether it be in pistol version or rifle. Now with these being fun to shoot and people try to get out as much as possible to shoot them and things like that, a question comes to my mind: how clean is your AR-15 rifle? If you can say, well, I've never really cleaned one, or I don't know, well, you probably have a slight issue going on within these working components. But fear not, in this video we're going to show you how to clean them, how to clean the bolt carrier group, how to clean the barrel and bore and things like that. So strap up and get ready to clean. Before we get started with the cleaning process, let's go over some of the things we'll be using today. We'll be using a quality gun cleaning kit, rim oil, a more concentrated rim oil, bore cleaner, a different type of bore cleaner, especially to get fouls and things like that off your bolt carrier group. You'll need cleaning cloths, a smaller kit to get certain areas and things like that, a gun cleaning rod to be able to reach the front to back of the barrels and things like that. And you guys don't need this last part, it's just something that I use when I'm cleaning out the lower receivers and things like that, or any place that collects a lot of lint. An air compressor or something that blows air, hose, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you have one, it helps out a lot. And then we'll be using Hops number 9 bore cleaner, and last but not least, and I say the not least part like with a passion, if you will, because these are to protect myself against unnecessary lead exposure. Now lead exposure, it causes so much harm, and I think that a lot of people don't realize how much harm it causes. And adults and children alike. Like it causes hearing loss, kidney damage, brain defects. The list goes on and on. Like I can post a link down below so you guys can read up on it and whatnot. But I say this stuff like the lead exposure. It's not a joke. It is not a joke. So when you guys are cleaning these firearms, or when you're enjoying yourself at your local range or what have you, just keep that in mind. You know, because I know a lot of people, like I say, these things, they are fun to shoot. But I mean, what's not fun is when you're covered in lead from going to the range, and then you come home and then your child runs up and tries to give you a big hug, and you just hug them, exposing them to unnecessary lead exposure. Excuse me. So without further ado, let's get cleaning. So for this next portion, like we want to do in all of our videos, or anytime we're dealing with a firearm that we're unsure is loaded or not, we're going to take our flashlight, and first I'm going to clear the pistol. Our bolt has been open, so we're checking inside of there, making sure there's no round chambered. We're checking the magazine well and the chamber again, just in case there's anything lodged up. You never know, so it's always just best to checking off all points of these things. And I can see light on the end of the tunnel. That one is clear. Now we're going to check this one. Same thing with this one, the bolt has been locked since the start. I can see light. There's nothing chambered. There's nothing lodged in there. We are good to go. So now, to take these things apart, you're going to need a roll punch set to knock the takedown pins away, and a small hammer or mallet. I would say any roll punch big enough to match the takedown pin should do just fine. So now your takedown pins are going to go out toward the ejection side of your rifle or pistol. So we're going to just take this here roll pin with our hammer, give it a couple of light taps. Now with our pins loosened just slightly, we're not going to take them out all the way because our bolt is not closed yet. So I'm going to let the pressure forward by pulling back the charging handle, allowing it to the bolt to disconnect with our slide catch. So now that we've checked it, we've ensured that it is clear. Now we're going to finish pushing out these pins. They should not fall free from the rifle or pistol, but they should just become loose. Now some people prefer the partial method and letting the front pin stay locked in. I just like to get it all the way done, and it helps out with the process of showing you guys exactly what we're doing. So now let's take this one here. Same thing. We're going to let our bolt forward. We've already checked these to ensure that they're clear. Take our hammer, our roll punch, tap, tap, tap. This one doesn't want to go just so easy, so I'm going to tap it a little bit more. Now it's at a hinge, and it comes right off from your little receiver. Now, during certain points of this this video, we're going to do a lot of time lapse, just for the sake of keeping things time sensitive, if you will. But we are going to show you guys how to do things step by step. So now let's get started with this first bolt carrier, because this is the bolt carrier group in any AR15 is going to be the dirtiest. Quite honestly, I think in any gas-operated rifle or anything that uses a lot of moving parts and fires around, I think it's going to be dirty. So now we pull out our bolt carrier group, and now a lot of people ask about these charging handles. You see, there's a lip on your charging handle. I want you guys to practice this. It goes in just slightly. You gotta kind of come in at an angle, go in, and then you lay it down as it clears the track, and then it goes like that. You can't just lift this thing out and scoot it in and push it down. There's a method to that. So now that we've got these working components out, a lot of this is going to be done in time lapse, and I'm going to glove up. So all right, so now that our lower is detached from our upper, you're going to want to take this buffer tube spring out. Now, there's a slight, there's a rear detent here, if you will, causing here that slight nipple there. With your fingernail, or if you're able to use some type of Allen key and, you know, get it out without it just popping out at you. Quite honestly, I just prefer the fingernail method. So I'm going to push this downward allowing my buffer tube spring to come out. The buffer and the spring itself. We're going to set those out of the way. And I don't know if you guys can see this very well, but these things, they get extremely dirty. And I think last time I cleaned these, I put like 100 rounds through them. And just by touching them, sure, it is a lot of oil and things like that. But there is a lot of foul and stuff like that. You guys can see it's on my finger there. I don't know if the light is hindering that, but it gets dirty nonetheless. And that's why we're cleaning these things. So now that we have our buffer pad and spring out of the lower, let's focus on the bolt carrier group. Now this is going to be probably going to be the dirtiest, or one of the dirtiest places in your rifle or pistol. So we're going to start by pulling out this pin, if you will, like it's like a hooked pin, and I'm using a 0.05 Allen key, and you see how I'm kind of hooking it on there. I'm just going to pull that out, and what this does, this releases your firing pin. As you can see, it's so filthy, and that's just after 100 rounds. And these things are very filthy. Now this here, I'm going to push that in, then I'm going to turn should be able to turn this here. Oh, and first off, let me take out my firing pin. Ugh, this thing is filthy. Oh my god. Now, before I show you guys this part is supposed to be silver primarily. This part is supposed to be silver. Are you guys ready? It's crazy, right? After 100 rounds. So you guys can see how dirty this thing gets. It's kind of difficult with these gloves on. There we go. Now what I did was I turned this piece here. Let me turn it back. It's just kind of difficult with gloves and things like that on, because I'm not trying to rip, especially now that we're handling all this dirt and lead exposure and things like that. I don't want to rip these gloves, so I'm trying to be extremely careful. But you want to turn this piece on your bolt carrier. You guys can see it turning. This is how it locks in place. Push it. Let me turn it one more time. Now I'm just going to ease off that pressure there. Like I said, a lot of this will be done in time lapse, so I'm going to do this last portion in time lapse. So now the piece we just took out, this is what holds your firing pin and guides your firing pin to where it needs to be. So this bolt carrier group, like it truly is a group, and they're working, and it holds this piece in place here. Now, oh my god, that is filthy. That is filthy. It's after 100 rounds. So like I say, so when these are into one another, just minus the carrier itself, so this piece here holds or guides this firing pin in place to the carrier. And when this is connected, this part doesn't move. And of course, all this is being held by this piece here. So now, take it apart. We're gonna get our kit. So first off, I'm going to take the wire scrub, and I'm going to scrub this real good here. And now this is just to loosen up anything that's caked on there. Now this is going to be done in time lapse. So now you all can see how dirty this thing was. Like I said in the earlier video, like exposure to lead, it is dangerous. See how black that is? See how it stained the table and things like that? So if it'll do that to metal, imagine what it'll do to the inside of your body. This is that blackened firing pin. It's supposed to be silver, and it's crazy, right? These pieces here, these aren't so dirty. You know, you can tell that they're not fouled up and things like that. So now let's assemble this. And we're gonna just do it pretty much to the reversing what we did earlier. But before we go ahead and insert these here, I'm gonna add a little bit of rim oil and things like that. Now, I am not going to add a whole bunch, because when you add all that oil, it just allows it to get caked up with more dirt and grime and foul, if you will. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to take the concentrated oil here, a drip there, a drip there, a drip there. And that's for the interior part of it. Give these a couple of drops. This way they could flow and things like that. Now the exterior, I'm going to probably use the aerosol rim oil, but like I say, for this one, I don't want it to be, I don't want to just spray a bunch of it on there. It goes in just like that there. Last piece. Quite honestly, anything that's metal on metal has to be oiled up. I mean, you can take that token of knowledge into anything you do if you're working with metal or anything like that. Like, you don't ever want just straight metal on metal or anything like that. So now this is going to be the tricky part, because like I say, this hole there is where your firing pin is going to be guided through. So the next bit of this I'm going to do in time lapse. So now that our bolt carrier is finished, this is what it should look like. It should move freely, and there's going to be a little bit of oil on there because you don't want this thing to be dry by any means. It's supposed to be able to flow, and there should, like anything that catches friction, like I say, or any type of metal on metal contact, it's supposed to be lubed. And this is where your gas line is going to connect, forcing your bolt to go back and making the gun work essentially. So it doesn't hurt to add a little bit of oil around it, you know, that way your gas line could flow right in there. And because we've cleaned it, taking off all the oil, you want to make sure you put an adequate amount on there. So I'm going to just add another drop of the concentrated oil there, and one drop goes a long way. We're going to move that out. That's all done. So now for the receiver, the upper receiver, I'm sorry. We're going to essentially do the same thing we did with our bolt carrier group. We're going to spray it down with the cleaners and things like that. And then we're going to scrub it. And now a few focus points when you're doing the upper receiver. Like I said, anything that has to do with that bolt carrier group, or that is close proximity when that bullet goes off, is just going to be dirty. So there's your gas line there, and then you see these ridges, like ridge, and the little ramps there. You guys want to clean those because that's how your round gets fed into the chamber. So especially these lower ones right there, you're gonna make sure you want to clean those real good so that you're when you're loading or chambering around, it can smoothly go up those ramps, if you will, and chamber around without obstruction or any type of dirt or grime hindering it. So this next step, it is going to be in time lapse, but I'm going to walk you guys through before I do that. I'm going to take your Tetra gun, this is a foaming bore cleaner and things like that. It's good for getting off the carbon, which is all that black stuff all over the place here. So I'm just going to spray this in here. Let's see, it foams out like that. And then I'm going to spray along the track where the charging handle goes. And now you guys just try to keep up with the cleaning process. First off, we're going to use our wire brush just to loosen up the grime. So you guys are going to see me use this wire brush. I'm going to glide across there, cleaning up any type of grime or dirt. Then the secondary is going to be our soft bristled brush. Same thing, I'm going to glide across. And then I'm going to take this cleaning rod here, and then I'm going to get these ramps I told you about, like these ramps here in your where your chamber is. I'm going to clean out the chamber with this here. All of this is going to be used to clean it out, but when you guys see me doing this, I'm just scrubbing off any type of carbon or any type of buildup that would build up in there. And then we're going to do the barrel separate. So just keep up and watch along. So now for this step, you're going to use your snake, your rifle snake, and you're going to use a few attachments. This one is going to be to loosen up any cartridge debris or anything like that, or to clean the barrel essentially. This one is going to be to clean up anything you had left over. Then we're going to take this one here to run our hops number 9 bore cleaner through. And like I said, with the bore cleaner, you're gonna make a few passes, and you're gonna do a few wet, a few dry, and after each one, the objective is to have it come out cleaner until it comes out completely white, or whatever color cloth you use. So this is gonna be done in time lapse, so just pay attention. So now that our pistol is finally cleaned up, now it's time to reassemble. So to start, you're going to want to make sure everything on your bolt carrier group is in the right position. So to get this in there, it won't go if you have it in the rear position, because this will be obstructing the clearance and whatnot. So we're going to open this like so. I'm sorry. Please do forgive me. Now, our upper receiver is complete. Now let's move to the lower. Now, on the lower receiver of your AR-15 or AR-15 pistol, there's going to be a few key points here that you want to focus on. Primarily the magazine well, because lint and debris get caught in there. And in this area here, you're going to want to clean these down, and then you're going to want to oil them really well. So I'm just going to clean off the debris on the top of everything, and then I'm going to use our gun wash. Wash it, then I'm going to put aerosol grease on metal contacts, and then we're going to be done with this one here. So this is going to be done in time lapse, so just pay attention. Like I said earlier, key points of these pistols and rifles are going to have metal on metal contact, so you want to make sure that you put some, I prefer the, Umbrella Corp aerosol grease. It works really well. I use it on a majority of my rifles and pistols that this platform. So one of the key focus points when doing this is this area here. I usually apply a little bit here. And typically when I install a trigger or disassemble a trigger for a thorough cleaning and things like that, I would add it on certain contact points inside of there. So aerosol here, because this is metal on metal, a little bit here and a little bit there, and we're gonna be good to go. So now that our entire rifle is clean and oiled up, it is time to connect it all back together. Just gonna go in like so. This process is extremely simple. Pop, pop, done. So now that our pistols and rifles are clean, I truly hope that you all take better care of your firearms, learn the inner workings of them, and once again, like, comment, subscribe, share, and turn on those notifications so you all can get updates as to when we post new videos and things like that. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Safe Firearm Training at Instagram.com, or if you have the app, that's fine too. And if you have any questions on how to, or if you have any preferred content you'd like to request, just shoot us a DM. You all can comment underneath. And until next time, y'all be safe now.